Welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Frita, and I'm bringing you more celebrity health news, and we're covering the hot health topics in the headlines. Here, we take the headlines and we give you information to help you to live your healthiest, happiest lives. So today we're starting off talking about a bit of a sad headline. Of course, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, America's favorite brother, has passed away, and the official autopsy report has come back. We'll talk about that. And we've learned that Malcolm-Jamal Warner passed away in a rip current off of a beach. Do you know what a rip current is? Well, today I'll talk to you about how to identify a rip current, and very importantly, what to do if you get caught up in one. And then we'll talk about cruise ships. I want you to go ahead and put in the chat, type out cruise if you took a cruise this summer or if you're planning on taking a cruise, because there was some cruise ship chaos. There was an infection that affected over 140 passengers on the cruise. It's a very common infection, and we'll talk about what it is, how to recognize it, how to prevent it, how to treat it, the most likely infection that broke out on that cruise ship. Lastly, we'll talk about Beyonce. Hey, Beehive, what y'all doing? So, right here in Atlanta, Beyonce gave several concerts. Oh, I know you heard about it. Hello, Cowboy Carter. But in that last concert, right after it, there was sadly a stampede. Yeah, there was a stampede on an escalator. And so we'll talk about crowds, injuries, stampedes, kind of what to do and how to keep yourself safe. So please go ahead and give us a like as you come on in, because I'm giving you evidence-based medical information. Make sure you subscribe to us here on the Dr. Frita YouTube channel. We are up to over 880,000 subscribers. I'm very proud of that, very appreciative of you. So give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit the notification bell. And so you are the first to know when I pop up in here and give you lives like I'm doing right now. All right, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Listen, y'all, The Cosby Show changed my life, and I know it did many others' lives as well. An iconic show. We were used to a lot of the shows portraying Black families as being in a struggle, right? And, and it was true for the times and times now. Oftentimes Black families are in struggles, but not all Black families. And so The Cosby Show gave us a different light, of course, right? We had a father who was a physician, a mother who was a lawyer. We had humor. We had all kinds of interaction. And Malcolm-Jamal Warner's character, Theo Huxtable, kept us laughing. Please go ahead, put in the chat. Tell me your favorite Cosby Show scene with Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Well, he was much more than Theo Huxtable. He was also a musician. He actually won a Grammy. He played bass. He was a poet. He was a podcaster. Of course, he continued to be an actor. He was also a husband and a father. Well, he and his family were vacationing in Costa Rica, and he was swimming on a beach, which we now know is considered to be one of the most dangerous beaches on the Atlantic coast in Costa Rica. The beach was called Playa Cocles. Okay. So he was on the beach and he got caught up in a rip current. And even though bystanders tried to save him, there was a lifeguard, even two doctors that came onto the scene. They performed CPR reportedly for over half an hour. But unfortunately, he was pronounced to be not alive on the scene. And now the official autopsy report has come back, and the cause of death, accidental drowning. Accidental drowning. Now, there are all kinds of hazards in natural waters that you really need to know about before you go out there. And definitely it's recommended that you wear a life vest. It's recommended that you not participate in alcohol or any other substances while you're out swimming in natural waters, because of course that can impair your judgment. Even, when you're on vacation, oftentimes you are participating in spirits and cocktails, but if you're swimming in natural water, you want to make sure you avoid substances. There's other safety tips also. Make sure you check out a short I have right here on my YouTube channel and on my other social media platforms at Dr.Frita, where I talk about drowning safety tips, specifically in natural water. But now here, I'm about to give you a very important safety tip, and that is how to recognize a rip current and what to do when you get caught up in one, or if you get caught up in one. So I'm from Florida, right? And so I've heard about rip currents all of my life. And, sadly, we hear about tourists who come, they swim on the beaches, they get caught up in rip currents. And we know that lifeguards save tens of thousands of people from rip currents each year. And according to the CDC, about 100 people pass away from drowning in rip currents each year. About 100 people pass away annually. So it's important to know what a rip current is. Here is what it is. It is a narrow, very powerful stream of water that's going away from the beach. Okay. It's headed out toward the sea. And so the way that you recognize a rip current is that you look to see if there's foam or debris or seaweed. And if it's really like churning or choppy, or if it's going in the opposite direction of the beach, then that is a rip current. Okay. So they are narrow streams of water, but they really can be as wide as 90 feet. And according to the National Ocean Service, rip currents can go as fast as 8 feet per second. Okay. Rip currents are faster than Olympic swimmers. Okay. They're very fast. And if you get caught up in a rip current, then, and you panic, and if you try to swim against it, then you can drown. Okay. Plain and simple. So here's what you do. Number one, beware of this natural water hazard. And so you look and you try to see if they're rip currents. And you know what? Take advantage of lifeguards. Ask them if they see any rip currents. Ask about the safety of the water. But if you get caught up and you're there and you're in a rip current, this is what you do. Number one, do not panic. Do not panic. If you panic and if you start trying to swim against the rip current, then likely you will tire out and your chances of drowning are very high. So what you want to do is to relax. Don't fight the rip current. Just try to flip and float. Okay. Flip and float, and just allow your body to be carried with the rip current, but lift your legs up high, put your head back in the water, and you float. Try to relax your body. If you're able to lift your arms while floating and signify that you need help, do that. If you're able to yell, but most importantly, don't try to swim against it. Don't fight it. You will tire out. Now, if you're in a position where you are able to swim and you're a pretty good swimmer, swim parallel to the beach. Okay. Swim parallel to the beach. Now, this can be tricky because sometimes the rip current directions will change. They can go east, they can go west, they can spin around. But either way, you just don't want to be trying to fight the rip current or swim against the rip current. Okay. And just be careful, wear life vest, and just understand that rip currents are a real thing and they take the lives of people every year. Certainly sending my prayers up for Malcolm-Jamal Warner, all the lives he touched. I know he left behind a wife and a young daughter. So praying for their comfort, that they do well. And, you know, just really appreciative of what Malcolm-Jamal Warner gave to the culture. You know, he's an icon. I've been watching old interviews of his, and he really was just a thoughtful, introspective person. He seemed very honest and genuine in his interviews. He talked about the feeling of hopelessness I was seeing in a Sherry Shepherd interview. So yeah, so in honor of his memory, go ahead and put your favorite Theo Huxtable scene in the chat. Let me know. I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is when that Gordon Gartrell, remember he wanted to buy that Gordon Gartrell shirt and it was expensive. And so he gave Denise, I believe, $30. And she said that she would make him a Gordon Gartrell shirt. And child, that shirt looked an absolute horrific mess. But just the nonverbal acting, Denise's face, his expressions, poor little Vanessa sitting there. That's just one of my many, many favorite scenes from The Cosby Show. But rest in peace, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And to everyone here, just make sure that you're very careful and that you check out, drowning safety tips. All right. Go ahead. Yes, please make sure if you haven't already, give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're giving you evidence-based information. Hey, and for those of you who are new to our channel, I am Dr. Frita. I'm an MD, a medical doctor. I have been quadruple board certified. So I'm a board certified nephrologist, meaning I'm a board certified kidney doctor and high blood pressure doctor. I have also been board certified in internal medicine, pediatrics, and obesity medicine. I like to talk a lot about a lot. You can check me out on my one-stop shop, drfrita.com. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me, I do offer a telehealth concierge consultation service, and I have a whole lot of things that I'm offering. I've written a book, Under Pressure, A Guide to Controlling High Blood Pressure, and I'm here every Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time, giving you a full hour of celebrity health news, as well as the hot health topics in the headlines. All right, let's talk about another headline, shall we? The cruise, okay? The cruise. Again, go ahead and type in the chat, cruise, if you went on a cruise this summer or if you're planning to go on a cruise. Because if you are, listen, you need to hear me, because on the Royal Caribbean, there has been some cruise chaos. Over 140 passengers got sick. Over 140 passengers got sick on the cruise. It was leaving from Los Angeles, headed to Mexico. And honey, these people are having nausea, they're having vomiting, they're having fever, all up, out, and through that boat.
CDC investigating a stomach bug that broke out on a Royal Caribbean cruise headed from LA to Mexico with more than 140 passengers sick. Norovirus is typically behind cruise ship outbreaks. Royal Caribbean says the health of its passengers is a top concern, and it promises it has rigorous cleaning procedures.
The CDC is investigating, but let me just tell you right now what the most common cause of cruise ship illnesses, what that common cause is: norovirus. Norovirus. And I'll tell you what, norovirus is actually the most common cause of illness from food in the United States. Okay. And here's the thing about norovirus: it spreads very easily. It's highly contagious. It can be on surfaces. Okay. So if someone has undercooked food, or if they have undercooked oysters and some of that juice is on the table, then you come and you cut an orange, or you cut something on that same contaminated surface, you can get norovirus. It can be in utensils. And so if you're sitting there sharing your spoon with your baby, or sharing your fork with your husband, or sharing, a straw with your sister, if you're sharing utensils with someone who has norovirus, you can get norovirus. Okay. And also, if the person who's preparing your food, oh, Lord help me, if they have norovirus and if their hands are contaminated and they have not washed their hands properly, and you eat that food, you can get norovirus. And so it's spread easily. We think of it in places that are highly populated, okay, where people are in close contact. So like in schools, in daycares, you can get it, in hospitals, and yes, on cruise ships, honey. It's the cruise ship virus. And it's very likely, we're waiting for that CDC report, but it's very likely that norovirus is the culprit for this cruise ship. All right, so let's talk about how to prevent it. All right, the main way to prevent it is good hand washing with soap and water. And I mean soap and water, because guess what? Norovirus is not killed easily by hand sanitizer. Okay, I know a lot of us have gotten spoiled. We keep a little hand sanitizer in our purses. We keep a little hand sand in the car, and we think that kills everything. It does not. Norovirus will laugh at your hand sanitizer. So you want to wash your hands with soap and water in order to prevent norovirus. Also, try to avoid sharing utensils, especially if you know someone is already infected. If you're someone who prepares food, don't be nasty. Wash your hands with soap and water. Don't be fixing people's plates and you might have norovirus on your hands. And so you just want to be really careful in that aspect as far as norovirus is concerned. So here's the good news. It's typically self-limited, okay? You will get symptoms anywhere from 12 to 48 hours after being exposed to norovirus, but your symptoms typically last only 1 to 3 days. But guess what? You are still contagious even 48 hours after your symptoms are over. So don't go out and about and be in the crowd. Go somewhere and sit down and still kind of try to keep from contaminating other people. And as far as treatment, what treatment? There's no antibiotics for norovirus. It's really just supportive treatment. And so if you're dehydrated, making sure you drink electrolyte beverages, plenty of water, and, get rest. If you have headaches, which often people do, you can take a little acetaminophen or something like that for your headache. Some other symptoms that you might get: high fever, body aches, of course, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea that'll make you want to cry and call your mama. But most people do very well. If your symptoms are really prolonged, or if you're not having anything, you can't keep anything down, not even water, and that's been going on for an extended amount of time, like certainly up to 24 hours or even 12 hours, depending on how you feel, then you want to contact 911 or, call your doctor, because you might need some IV fluids. But for the most part, just remember, especially if you're in close contact with people going on a cruise, soap and water, wash your hands, avoid, sharing utensils. And for those of you working on the cruise lines, preparing people's food, wash your hands, please. And I certainly hope that everyone on this Royal Caribbean cruise, these over 140 people who got sick, I really hope that they do well. Okay. I really hope that they do well. All right. And listen, put in the chat if you've ever had an illness, and now that you hear me talking, you think it might have been norovirus. Little Scrappy shared that he had norovirus, he and a couple of his kids, and he was very graphic in his description. He did not have fun. All right. One more celebrity health news topic. Beyonce, all on your mouth. Okay. Y'all know she was here in Atlanta. She gave performances, honey. Everyone who went is going bananas on how good that concert was. They're even saying it was better than Renaissance. Now, I went to Renaissance, and that's about the best concert I've been to. So y'all gonna have to tell me something. But after the last concert, when people were going on an escalator at the MARTA station, okay, our transportation here in the Atlanta area, there apparently was a stampede. Reportedly, somebody saw a bug. I don't know. That's what's been reported. But then people started running. The escalator sped up and then it stopped and people got hurt.
An update on the chaos after a Beyonce concert we told you about earlier in the week. New surveillance video shows crowds pouring into an Atlanta train station. The extra weight from the crowds causing the escalator to malfunction, forcing people into a pileup below. It happened after a 10-year-old girl outside screamed after seeing a bug, sending crowds scattering, leading to a stampede. 9 people were hurt in that incident.
At least 11 people got hurt, had to go to the hospital. One person actually broke their ankles. You had lots of cuts, bruises. There was someone who was a witness, and he said that there were anywhere from 2 to 3 people per escalator step. And so it was really just kind of an unsafe situation, really tight situation, and people got hurt. Okay. So, fortunately, no one passed away. But you can imagine if you've ever been out in a crowd or at a concert, these things happen kind of more frequently than we really talk about, where there are essentially stampedes. And sometimes people do pass away in stampedes. And so I want you to put in the chat if you've ever been in a situation like in a heavy crowd where there was a stampede and actually you had some fear that something might happen to you. I know I was in one for my first concert that I went to. Ooh, it was Fat Boys, the Fat Boys and Houdini. And we had seats, but then there was an area in the front where you could stand. And so people were standing, they were standing in front of us. So I got up and stood. I was a little girl then. And so I'm standing, my sister's there. The Feltons took us there. Hi, Feltons. Hi, Simone. Hi, Sonia. And people started bum rushing the stage when Houdini was up there. And I just remember my body being swept and pushed forward. And like I said, I was a little girl at that point. I wasn't, the tall 5'11" person that I am now. And I actually did fear. You have difficulty breathing when you're down at everyone's kind of chest and stomach level. And so I actually did have a fear. And so just make sure that when you are in crowds, practice crowd safety. Try to, if you're able to avoid it, not be all up on other people. Be looking, know where exits are. Okay. And if things happen, be cognizant of other people. Okay. Think about other people. Don't just run and stomp and stamp on them. People can lose their lives. And for the security people who are over these concerts, even something as simple as going down an escalator, if it's someone who is as huge and larger than life than Beyonce, then yes, I agree. A security guard should have been standing and making people go on the escalator one at a time. Who would have thunk it? Not me. But now we had the stampede. Thankfully, everyone survived and they can live another day and go to the next Cowboy Carter concert. All right. So that's all I've got for you for today in celebrity health news and the hot health headlines. And so if you learned something new, please make sure you give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Again, I thank you to everyone who's here supporting on our YouTube channel. We're up to over 880,000 subscribers. Help us get to 900,000. Heck, help us get to 1 million, por favor. Make sure that you are active in this chat because I'm really curious. I'm really curious about that first story. I want to know, hey, have any of you ever been in a rip current or had a dangerous situation, you or a loved one? I want you to share your information and also share kind of what you learned about it so other people can learn as well. All right. I appreciate you for watching. I appreciate your support. And hey, I will see you next time to give you more hot health topics in the headlines. I'm Dr. Frita.